Hi, Rocky. Hi, Sabine. Thank you for joining me in this video.
Hello.
Hi.
In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how you can use the GitLab development kit to contribute to the GitLab project. Here's some context. First, there is a possibility that the user is not allowed to create a group. And the menu item for this group is still rendered in the UI. And when you navigate to it, you'll be presented with a 404 error. This merge request then set out to resolve that. And out of that merge request, we created a follow-up issue to research whether you can still create a project through the UI in the menu when you're not allowed to. Now, users that are not allowed to create a project, they can be external. So using GDK, we can go to any user. In this case, it's this one. We can edit this user. I'm going to turn off my video in case that might speed things up.
Okay.
Okay. So you can see that I've set this user as an external user already. Now, if we go to that actual user, this is how they see their environment. And we can see that they don't have a little button here for a menu, but we can see that they still have this menu. And we can see that they can still create a project. So let's see how that looks like. And we can see that they're actually here, where they can go through the whole UI of creating a new project. So let's see how that goes. My test project. Yeah. And we see that the user gets an error. Namespace is not valid. So ideally, this entire view would not even be rendered because an external user isn't allowed to create a project to begin with. Following the Rails convention, we can see that the path is projects new. So let's go to that bit in our code. And before doing that, I'm going to spin up the Rails console so that we don't have to wait for that later on. And then in the meantime, open up Vim. And let's go to that file. So it's a controller project. And then we go to the method new. And we can see here that there is some logic regarding the namespace. And if it's invalid, it returns access denied. And otherwise, you can just create a project. However, instead, we want to return access denied already prior to checking for namespace if the user is not allowed to create a project. So we can go something like access denied unless the user can create a project. We save that. And then we go back to our user here. And let's see what happens if we visit this page again. Still loading. Okay. So we see that it renders a 404 now. That's good because this user isn't allowed to create a project. However, from a UI perspective, ideally you wouldn't want to see these buttons, right? So
Yep.
let's look at what we can see in the UI about this button. And we can see that it says something along the lines of, well, create project link and create blank project. So let's just search for that in the code base. Maybe that will help us find what we want. Create blank project. Let's not have markdown files. Let's not have these files. Okay. Now, if we look at this list,
You can set the exact string.
maybe search for menu as well. Oh. Okay. Leave that in the background. Meanwhile, see what else we could look at. Projects, drop down, blank project, and create project link.
Maybe for blank underscore project.
If we look at what we currently see as a result, it just took a very long time sharing my screen. It's quite hot weather now. We can see that this file has this result, and we quickly look at it.
Yep.
We see that this does look very familiar. Create blank project, import project. It looks like this is the file we need. So just by using the browser and inspecting the element, you can find a way by just grabbing the code base for whatever you're looking for. And if we see here, create project, and we see here, import project, all the way to create from template, we can see that that all three of these represent what's in the code base and that we don't actually want them if you're not allowed to create a project as an external user. So let's put that in the code. Oh. This entire bit using haml code, we say if current user dot project and then we indent it, save, and let's see how that looks like now. Let's get rid of console. We can see that it no longer renders the buttons for creating a project. So that's good. If you look at the top of this file, you see here that this file is slated to be removed along with the combined menu. So in GDK now, to enable that combined menu, you can just enable so by a feature flag. And let's see how that looks like. And now the new menu is rendered. If we click on that, and we're in projects, you can see that this button is still rendered, create new project. So let's get rid of that one too. As suggested here, well, we should go to this file, top nav helper. And then let's just search for project. No, not exactly what I'm looking for. Build anonymous. We see that in this method, all the menu items are created for creating a project. So we see that it says one for exploring, start and yours, and then the final one for creating a new one. You can see that I did it here as well for the group in the earlier issue. So with that same idea, we can just say if current user can create and that's all we need. Let's confirm how that looks like. Okay. And that button is now no longer rendered. I think that's all we need for future iterations and feedback from the developers. We can see what they suggest in the merge request. Perhaps there's something that we so far overlooked, but that will be something for later then. For now, let's just commit the merge. I won't be needing this anymore. Let's look at what we have so far. We see 3 unstaged files. We got this change, the project controller. In the new menu, we're adding the condition. And we're doing so as well in the old menu. Let's create a new branch first. Okay. Let's stage this and commit. Okay. If this does get merged, we can actually close the issue, the follow-up issue. So let's see what that was. Okay. Next commit. Okay. And let's just push. Okay. We successfully pushed, and you can see that we also have a reference for creating a merge request. Let's navigate to that page. This is really all we need. What does this MR do? It checks. Looks like it didn't add my closest statement. It needs that in the body of the merge request to automatically close an issue. So let's do that here. Let's add a bunch of labels. Because we're all from the support team, let's start off with support team contributions. This entire menu It sits under the editor group. So let's go to create new group editor. It's a change in the backend, and it's a change in the front end. Any other features that we need, we can just iterate on that. Currently, I'm going to assign it to me as per the new workflow, and I'm going to ask review from Paul Slaughter. The reason why I'm asking from him is because he has been working on this new menu so much, and he might be the best person to review this, to start with the review process. Create merge request. And that's all we need.
Cool.
Any feedback that we may get from the developers, more labels, changes, anything, you can just progress with that, follow up on their advice, learn new things often in the case. It's not expected to make the merge request perfect in one go. Just start small changes. Get familiar with using GDK. It's fun. It's a great way to contribute. Y'all have any questions? All right, then I'm going to stop the recording.
We're good.